auspicious occasion, may I now invite our esteemed guests and dignitaries on the dais to come forward and light the ceremonial lamp. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. May I now request everyone to rise at your respective places for the university song. Thank you, everyone. As we now begin this journey of discussion and reflection, we now take a moment to honor and felicitate our esteemed panel. May I now request our dignitaries to kindly come forward for the felicitation ceremony. May I now request Professor Dhananjay Singh, Member Secretary ICSSR, to felicitate Shri K.P. Anand. Thank you, sir. May I once again request you to felicitate? Thank you, sir. Once again, I request you to felicitate Shri Sibu R. Principal Accountant General, Odisha. Sir, may I once again request you? I once again request you, sir, to felicitate Shri Atul Prakash, Accountant General, Odisha. May I now humbly request Shri K.P. Singh to felicitate Professor Dhananjay Singh, Member Secretary ICSSR. Thank you, sir. I once again request you to felicitate Honorable Vice Chancellor, Utkal University, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, sir. May I now humbly request Shri Atul Prakash, sir, to felicitate Professor Mitali Chinara. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Shri Sibu R to felicitate Dr. Amrendra Das. Thank you, everyone. With this expression of respect and appreciation, we now proceed to the formal addresses of the colloquium. It is indeed my privilege and honor to invite Shri Subbu R, Principal Accountant General, Odisha, to deliver the welcome address. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Vice Chancellor of the Utkal University, respected Member Secretary, ICSSR, Director General, Eastern Region of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, Shri K.P. Anand, Accountant General Audit 2, Mr. Atul Prakash, distinguished guests, esteemed faculty members, researchers, students, officers, ladies and gentlemen present here. A very good evening, good afternoon to everyone. It's my great privilege to honor and welcome you all to the Cag-Icssr Colloquium Odisha chapter. On behalf of the Office of the Principal Accountant General, Audit 1 Odisha, I extend a very warm and heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you. We are delighted to have you with us for this significant gathering of academia, public administration, and policy practitioners. I'm especially happy to welcome our students and young researchers. Your participation reflects the growing interest of young minds in public policy, governance, and accountability. I encourage you to actively participate in the discussions, ask questions, and make the most of this opportunity to interact with distinguished experts. Today, we have a colloquium, which is a unique initiative jointly organized by Comptroller and Auditor General of India and Indian Council for Social Science Research. This collaboration aims to provide a platform where the experience of public auditing and the insights of academic research come together. It seeks to promote meaningful dialogue and encourage the exchange of ideas that strengthen governance and evidence-based public policy making. The institution of Comptroller and Auditor General of India traces the origin to 1860, and since the adoption of Constitution on 26 January 1950, it has functioned as the supreme audit institution of the country under Article 148 of the Constitution. Though it's a long journey, the actual only after the Constitution came into power, the CAG's DPC Act and the articles came in the Constitution. Through independent and objective audit, the CAG examines government accounts, financial records, programs, and systems to assess whether public resources have been managed with due care and due regard to the economy, efficiency, effectiveness, and compliance with laws and regulations. Its audit go beyond identifying irregularities by analyzing systemic deficiencies, undertaking root cause analysis, and arriving at evidence-based conclusions after a comprehensive examination of the underlying processes. Based on these findings, the CAG makes constructive recommendations to help the executive strengthen governance, improve public service delivery, and ensure better financial management. Equally important, the CAG follows up the recommendations, the implementation of these recommendations through subsequent audits, thereby promoting accountability and continuous improvement in public administration. I would also like to highlight that all these audit reports of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India are available in the official website of CAG, that is www.cag.gov.in. Students and research scholars can easily access and download these reports, which are organized government-wise, year-wise, subject or scheme-wise, making them valuable resources for academic research and policy analysis. These reports are based on information furnished by responsible government authorities and on the scrutiny of original records maintained by the government offices. They are prepared through a rigorous evidence-based audit process, ensuring that the findings are authentic, objective, and reliable. I encourage all students and researchers to make use of these reports to gain a deeper understanding of how public systems function, identify governance challenges, develop research, and contribute to better public policy and improved service delivery. Since these reports are prepared by us on the basis of information furnished by the responsible government officers and scrutiny of original records of government offices, informations are authentic and genuine always. So you can improve your understanding how the system works with these resources. On the other hand, established in 1969, Indian Council of Social Service Science Research, ICSSR, is the apex body of India for promoting and supporting research in social sciences, fostering interdisciplinary studies, and generating knowledge that contributes to informed policy making and societal development. Friends, the theme of today's colloquium is highly relevant. The two themes of today's colloquium, state finance of Odisha and stormwater drainage and sewerage management system in municipal corporation, are closely connected to the broader goal of sustainable and inclusive development. I am confident that today's discussion will enrich our understanding of these important themes and provide valuable insight for all of us. I would like to draw your attention to the Cag-Icssr research article competition, which will be introduced later in today's program. It is an excellent opportunity for students and researchers to present fresh ideas and contribute to strengthening public financial management and governance through quality research. As Henry Ford once said, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. Today's colloquium is a fine example of that spirit. Let today's discussion inspire new ideas, new perspectives, and new solutions for better governance and public welfare. I wish the colloquium great success and hope that today's discussion will be informative, thought-provoking, and beneficial for all. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to each one of you. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your inaugural remarks and for setting the stage for today's colloquium. It is now indeed my privilege and honor to introduce our esteemed guest for today, Professor Dhananjay Singh, Member Secretary, ICSSR. Professor Singh is a distinguished academic and administrator currently serving as a Member Secretary of Indian Council of Social Science Research, New Delhi. He is also the President of the Association of Asian Social Science Research Councils and holds the additional charge as Chairman of the Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology under the Ministry of Education. May I now request you, sir, to address the gathering.
Thank you so much. Shri Subbu R., respected Principal Accountant General, Audit 1, Odisha. Shri P.K. Anand, Director General, Eastern Region, Bhubaneswar. Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Utkal University, Odisha. Dr. Amarendra Das, Naisar Bhubaneswar. Shri Atul Prakash, Accountant General, Audit, Odisha. Professor Mitali Chenara, Professor retired, Utkal University. Shri Swami Suvam Vaijnath, Shri Balakrishnan, deans, professors, academics, researchers, and students. It's really a great honor for me to be standing here representing Indian Council of Social Science Research. It's always a great pleasure coming to Odisha, coming to Bhubaneswar. We all know, of course, Odisha with a very rich cultural and spiritual heritage, artistic traditions, the land of Lord Jagannath, Jai Jagannath to all of you. Strategically located of Odisha, of course, has immense significance in this great journey that Bharat has placed itself now when we have to become Viksit Bharat by 2047. Odisha, of course, occupies a significant place in its journey towards becoming Viksit Odisha and Viksit Bharat 2047 because it presents remarkable opportunities and at the same time complex challenges in several areas that are key to make the country develop, of course, which includes urban governance, sustainable tourism, agriculture, social welfare, disaster resilience, and overall inclusive economic growth. The state, of course, as of all of you know, as people who work on ERISA know, has made noteworthy progress in fields such as healthcare, education, urban infrastructure, digital governance, and public service delivery, which of course underscores the importance of institutions and departments, efficiency of public administration, and accountable governance. Now, in this context, of course, we are here today, this Cag-Icssr Colloquium series Orissa chapter. And of course, the objective of this collaboration between CAG and ICSSR, even as many of you would know that CAG is making a significant, of course, outreach to academia, to students in particular, by publishing the decadal data, of course, of CAG. It's important for us to also, at the same time, for both this CAG, of course, a supreme audit institution, constitutionally, of course, with a huge mandate, obviously, to ensure that every rupee that the government, of course, budgets is spent efficiently, is used for the impact that it should be spent for. It's important for students to, especially for students, to know that you have, of course, a big responsibility. When I talk of Viksit Bharat 2047, you're going to shape the futures of this nation. And audit, of course, the audit reports are not simply about technical, of course, literature or technical information about audit or commerce or, very specialized information, because each one of you, and now, of course, when we are in the age of AI, when we are looking for, when we are in a time where students, irrespective of the subjects and the fields that they're pursuing their graduation or post-graduation, whether it is sociology or political science, public administration, of course, there are skills that are important, how useful, how valuable your skills are. In lots of other areas that, of course, impinge on public policy. You need to have a research acumen and research skills and critical skills on public policy, which is extremely important for you to remain relevant in the very evolving educational landscape in the country. That's the one objective as far as ICSSR is concerned. As all of you know, of course, CAG promotes accountability, transparency, and efficiency in the management of public resources through, of course, independent auditing. ICSSR's objective, as many of you would know, is to advance rigorous research on social, economic, and development issues. And therefore, together, these two institutions seek to create a vital bridge between audit, evidence, academic scholarship, and public policy to foster informed dialogue, of course, informed critical thinking among students, the point that I was making just now. As Shri Subbu RG was saying, of course, later today we'll have an announcement of the CAG ICSSR research article writing competition, which calls upon the students to make contribution in analyzing, of course, how roads are being built, of course, how the small-scale industries, of course, the kind of support that they need, the kind of role that they're going to play in Viksit Bharat 2047. Just to give some examples, for social science research, therefore, CAG audits are, CAG audit reports are much more than financial statements. They are unique because, of course, they are sourced from the most credible sources, of course. They're unique in that sense because they're so authentic. They're rich repositories of evidence that illuminate the functioning of governance, public finance, welfare delivery, and institutional performance. And it's very interesting for any one of you pursuing any field of inquiry in the social sciences or the interdisciplinary studies. As I said, it's not simply technical material, but it gives you evidence on how roads are being built, of course, how schools are being built, how's the condition of healthcare system in your estate. And therefore, we call upon you to, in fact, take interest in CAG audit reports that are produced, and with ICSSR become responsible stakeholders in societal development of the nation. Of course, later today the two presentations will of course will have a detailed deliberation on the state finances, the audit report of Orissa of 2024-25. Of course, it presents an encouraging picture of the state's fiscal management and economic progress. Odisha's economy, of course, records a healthy growth. The details, of course, will be shared, so I will not deliberate on these, of course. And it more or less, of course, it highlights a sound fiscal management as far as Odisha is concerned. During 2024-25, of course, the state recorded a revenue surplus of 22,651 crores. And there are other details that you'll get to know. The other theme, of course, that we have, of course, selected for the colloquium, of course, is the stormwater drainage and sewerage management systems in municipal corporation. As Odisha, of course, continues this remarkable journey, urbanization and economic growth, that you're seeing that the kind of synergy between urbanization and economic growth, is the strengthening of urban infrastructure is, of course, key. And therefore, one of the most critical components of sustainable urban development, as far as Odisha is concerned, are the efficient storm water drainage and sewerage management system, of course, which play a key role in safeguarding public health, as well as protecting environment, enhancing climate resilience, and improving the quality of urban life. Therefore, the Cag-Icssr Colloquium inspires you, rather encourages you to understand that there are key, of course, data available. This data, of course, has gaps. Obviously, the data, of course, suggests scopes of improvement. And as young researchers, whether you're working in PhD or you're working in your BA or BCom, because research is an important component of the undergraduate courses now under the NEP, you have a scope, of course, to study in general, of course, the relationship between fiscal federalism and sustainable public finance, regional and balanced economic development, public expenditure priorities and research optimization, governance, accountability and institutional effectiveness, and impact of public investment on social welfare and human development, and to create, of course, to contribute towards evidence-based policy making for inclusive and sustainable development. As far as the stormwater drainage and sewer management systems in the municipal corporations, of course, of Odisha is concerned, of course, CAG has important insights that will be presented later on, whether it's about the groundwater recharge and water security, or the development of stormwater drainage, or the the conserving of urban water bodies, of course, that the important, of course, findings of the CAG report is crucial for a crucial step for you to develop your research problems, your research thesis, and go ahead with your research that can be translatable into actionable outcomes as far as public policy is concerned. So for researchers in urban development, environmental management, public administration, public policy, and local governance, these audit reports offer a rich evidence-based, as I said, for interdisciplinary research. Broadly speaking, the themes that are important for you, as far as the second theme of the colloquium is concerned, of course, anybody, of course, in your undergraduate, postgraduate studies interested in urban infrastructure planning and resilient city development, or financial management and efficient utilization of public resources, environmental sustainability and public health outcomes, climate change adaptation, urban flooding and disaster resilience, or service delivery, citizen satisfaction and urban governance, themes like that, you will find the audit reports on Odisha extremely illuminating. So to conclude, of course, we call upon you, all of you, especially students, especially the student community, to study audit reports and become a responsible researcher, of course. Research is a social commitment, and should be approached as an important matter of national pride as young citizens of this country. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your very insightful address. Now I take this opportunity to introduce our next distinguished speaker, Shri K.P. Anand, the Director General, Eastern Region. Sir is an Indian Administrative Service Officer of 1996 batch. He graduated from the Madras Veterinary College in 1994. Prior to assuming this charge, he served as the Director General of Audit, Chennai, Principal Accountant General, Puducherry and Kerala, Principal Director of Audit, Northeastern Frontier Railway, and Accountant General, Assam. With these words, may I now request you, sir, to address the gathering.
A very warm good afternoon to all of you. It's a distinct privilege to address the Odisha chapter of Cag-Icssr Colloquium at Utkal University. Professor Dhananjay Singh, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, Dr. Amarendra Das, Professor Mitali Chinara, my colleagues Subbu and Atul Prakash, and students, scholars, researchers, the coming generation which is going to shape the country into the Committee of Nations. When public institutions and academia meet, the dialogue is often framed as a polite exchange of ideas. However, we are here to forge a highly functional partnership rooted in data, governance, and accountability. Let me just put it as to who is, for the students and the researchers, who is the CAG. Normally, CAG is felt as a government accountant, a government accounting office, who does a post facto audit of the systems and points out certain mistake. But as practitioners, as scholars, as someone who is going to shape the country in the years to come, he occupies a unique place, an independent space in the Indian democratic architecture. Dr. Ambedkar famously remarked in the Constitution that he is perhaps the most important officer in the Constitution of India. Article 148 to 151 of the Constitution mentions about the provisions, his terms and conditions, and whatever powers he has, whatever duties he has as per the Constitution. The discussions in the Constituent Assembly, whether it was Dr. Ambedkar, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Radhakrishnan, everyone during the discussion has mentioned about the importance of this role, how the CAG acts as a watchdog, a guardian of the guardian of the public purse. Under Article 149 and the DPC Act of 1971, we have the absolute independent authority to audit all receipts and expenditures from Consolidated Fund of India, contingency funds, and the public accounts of both the union and every single state. For the students, let me put it like this. Apart from the accounts of the individual states, the CAG audits every 1 rupee being spent out of the public money. Be it be the departments, PSUs, corporations, autonomous bodies, Panchayat Raj institution, wherever a rupee of government enters in, whether it is the state or the center, state or the union, it is the responsibility of guarding it, responsibility of commenting it, pointing it out to the legislature that something has happened right or wrong. It is the responsibility of Indian Audit and Accounts Department. Many a times, the Public Accounts Committee, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, chairman of Public Committee on Public Undertakings, they have underlined the importance of CAG in the sense that in the federal structure, in the union and in the states, the nation's accounts are being prescribed, as prescribed on the basis of the CAG's advice. And when the findings are being placed in the assembly, whether the parliament or the state legislatures, they are not just bureaucratic records, they are evidence-based diagnosis of the public governance, and all being formed through a process. The records, the audit reports of CAG are not just reports which come out in a year. There is an underlying work throughout. We have a strategic plan, followed by that we have annual plans, and then our teams go into the field audit, and both at the field level, at the official level, at the states and at the center, we have teams, officers who are responsible to vet the reports to see that whatever is being reported to the parliament is exactly what has happened. So to that extent, we see to it that there is transparency, accountability, and also it helps in policy formation in the government. It is also meaningful that this intellectual discourse is taking place in partnership with Utkal University, at the oldest and premier university of Odisha, which has been the cradle of leadership, intellect, and social transformation in the state for over 8 decades. True to its profound motto, seek the highest trust, this institution has consistently championed the pursuit of ultimate truth. Today, as we discuss public governance, we are calling upon that very spirit of deep inquiry and intellectual honesty that Utkal University has institutionalized. And similarly, Indian Audit and Accounts Department too has this concept of deep inquiry, intellectual honesty, and a professional approach. Coming to these today's themes, which anyway other speakers would also mention, one is about the state of finances and the urban local body infrastructure. This is, I would largely dwell upon certain issues. We take up the state finances right from the accounts. We also do a sort of a data analysis of it through our voucher level computerization and our own compliance procedure of compliance testing, how the funds move, what are the sources, what are the application of the funds, what sort of capital expenditure we are doing vis-a-vis the revenue expenditure, what are the subsidies which the state is looking at, and what could be its impact on the fiscal deficit. Not only that, and how these subsidies are also being transformed into some sort of a resources for development of the humanity at large. It's not just the legality of transaction, asking if the money is being spent, but whether it is being spent with wisdom, faithfulness, and economy, efficiency, and such things. Similarly, the next topic we are going to take is on stormwater drainage. It's not about just sewerage networks or stormwater drainage. We are auditing the livability and the public safety. This is one topic which has been decided. We will be taking it up here, but in general, we take up issues whether it's on health, education, infrastructure, social inclusiveness, environment, how every one of us are being affected. So in that way, our topics which we take up for our audit and review are issues which are of day-to-day importance to every citizen of the country. The primary reason the CAG and the ICSSR have built this bridge is to unlock the massive research potential hidden with these audit reports. To the young scholars, economists, researchers in this room, they are not dry historical texts. They have highly reliable granular data sets that reflect the actual ground realities of public policy implementation. Any policy for that matter are not being made out of blue. Policies are being derived based on the intent of the legislators whom we elect. And apart from their intent, other practical considerations, the insights of various other agencies, whether it be audit, executives, and various reviews, research, reports which the students, scholars, and the reviewers give, they also enter into this policy. And as you all know, as researchers, as students, as who does a review on any particular topic, you have your own methodologies. So our audit reports, which are a robust, which are the products which come through a robust practice, can also be a part of your research materials and research methodologies. As India works up to face, now that we have completed 79 years and as we move towards our 100 years of independence, the demand for pristine financial management, transparent public delivery will naturally intensify. Such a robust democracy requires an ecosystem where the government performance is continuously evaluated, data is democratized, and public discourse is informed by objective facts. At this juncture, I express my sincere thanks to ICSR for partnering with Indian Audit and Accounts Department to drive this initiative forward in Odisha. My thanks to Utkal University for hosting this event. At this juncture, I urge all our participants, students, research reviewers, scholars, everyone to participate, engage sharply in these sessions, question the data, have meaningful discussion, challenge the conclusions, and let's make this colloquium a highly productive exercise in institutional synergy. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your gracious and insightful address and for enriching this colloquium with your valuable perspectives. It is indeed now my honor and privilege to briefly introduce the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Utkal University, Professor Chandi Prasad Nanda, sir. Sir is a renowned historian and an accomplished researcher and scholar, having more than 3 decades of experience in teaching and higher education. May I now request you, sir, to kindly address the gathering.
जय जगन्नाथ, नमस्कार। श्री के.पी. आनंद जी, डायरेक्टर जनरल ईस्टर्न रीजन भुवनेश्वर, प्रोफेसर धनंजय सिंह, मेंबर सेक्रेटरी इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ सोशल साइंस रिसर्च, प्रोफेसर मिताली चिनेरा, who just superannuated from this university very recently, Dr. Amarendra Das from Niger, of course 2 other associates from the world of CAG, very telling, towering personalities like Sri Subbu R and Sri Atul Prakash, who is Accountant General of Odisha. Students, scholars, ladies and gentlemen, and many of you also are policy practitioners who are present here. And particularly, I'm glad that I can see very telling minds, young students who are part of this crowd, and this makes a difference. Given the fact that we are likely to brainstorm a couple of ideas from now on, which have been conceptualized very innovatively by two of the major entities of Government of India. One is CAG and Cag-Icssr, in a very seminal way. And precisely I can see that this kind of initiative by these two organizations illuminates that how administration, research, civil society can be taken together or can be brought in together to establish a kind of conversation. Particularly when I say research, when I say universities, when I say students, when I say policy researchers, this is an ecosystem. When CAG and Cag are also part of that, but CAG also a different kind of entity. Think of 1970s, 80s or 90s till we come to this particular point of time. CAG is a kind of organization which was usually seen as something, they do a lot of reports about whether you as per given rules and regulations you spend the public resource or not. If there is a stricture from them, it means there is a death knell coming out of. I mean, if somebody is chided by CAG, it means that he is declared dead. But going beyond these kind of confines or this kind of canonical understanding of CAG, now they have gone forward and trying to reach out to a domain, a lively domain like academics, lively domain like research, to tell their stories. That, see, we are trying to look at public finance, state finance. We are trying to see whether protocols are fully observed or not, whether procedural lapses are there or not, whether these finances are being utilized for the larger interest of the society, the community, the vulnerable societies. These are the insights which they tell it to the public domain through their own language. Now, such kind of language, such kind of expressions are now becoming universalized. When they come out and tell Cag-Icssr, why not you publish our report, and why not you organize a colloquium like this, and also engage these minds, the young minds who can be ignited to think of a future, as Dhananjay ji rightly said, that you are the people who are going to encounter 2036 Odisha or 2047 Bharat. And as you look forward to these timelines, you must have robust intellectual resources, conceptual resources. And these resources which are already in the archives of CAG or Cag-Icssr are being thrown to you, and you are to respond to it in terms of your ideation, in terms of your brainstorming, trying to see whether whatever has been said by this report is true or not, whether this public finance, the insights or the advisory which has come from CAG is to be taken like this, or can be tailored, can be modified, can be put in a different perspective, so that we try to do justice to this society. So that is, I think, one of the major underlying message coming out of this colloquium, because this is the 8th chapter. I mean, I was told that this is the 8th chapter which is happening in Odisha. It's a very interesting, innovative idea where we establish linkage of academics and administration along with civil society and whatnot. So this is a best practice which can always Viksit Bharat should follow, so that public policy becomes more telling, more transparent, more cleaner, and the citizens of tomorrow get to know what are the resources which were spent by this nation in the years, and whether they have left something for the they're leaving something for the future generation or something. There are several issues or several cognate ideas which is associated with this kind of discussions like this in a colloquium like this. Now, if I think that CAG basically promotes evidence based on their constitutional audit or institutional accountability. Similarly, ICSSR brings in lot of evidence through critical scholarship, or you see that they provide a lot of research funding and everything, so that there is a informed public inquiry. This is research or public inquiry happens. So when they produce lot of evidence-based narrative, we try to see them, we try to engage with them in different ways. But when they try to establish a conversation by a mechanism like this makes a very interesting departure from the traditional or conventional practices. So that is what I think the significance of this colloquium needs to be appreciated. So here, audit or CAG ceases to be kind of mere exercise in financial compliance. It's more than that. Now, CAG, the way it has been understood, that we need to conform to audit thing and all the time here, whether, in our universities everydayness, we say that we have to follow OJFR rule, whether we will be caught by the local fund audit or the audit or the CAG. But now these are only peripheral things, some of the very lower level understanding. But now with this kind of exercise, it produces invaluable source of knowledge, institutional learning and policy innovations. And the meaningful dialogue which is being created amongst a whole range of stakeholders, whether it is auditors, whether it is scholars, whether it is students, whether it is policy practitioners, whether it's policy architects. This is what is important, because these empirical evidence, scholarly analysis, administrative experience together contribute towards governance and stronger public institutions. This is important. But I'll try to wind up by only making a very small observation. As we do this kind of brainstorming, as we try to think through a gamut of ideas concerning these two sub-themes, one is public finance or state finance, and the other one is something to do with urban governance, where municipal administration is concerned, and the issues of sewerage and storm water drainage is concerned. Now, how do we look at these two things? Are they to be understood? There are different layers of ideas, or somewhere they needs to be seen as very much interconnected. That is my only precise point of emphasis, that I think these are two important interrelated things which needs to be seen. Because as we try to see these two propositions, the question that comes in, how should governments prepare societies for an increasingly uncertain future? Now, this question of sewerage and the question of drainage in the urban areas has become so natural these days. These natural catastrophes, or whatever we call it, cyclones or heat waves or climatic fluctuations all the time, has become part of everydayness. Nature is no more outside, nature is no more static, nature is no more inert. Nature has become part of historical understanding. Nature has become partly humanity. Nature is entering into economics. nature is entering into public policies, nature is entering into boardrooms. We need to at least emphasize that. Nature is no more outside. So far we have understood, 19th century and 20th century, that nature is in the backdrop, human activities are happening, in that stage. But now this binary or this divide has collapsed. Now whatever public policy discourse we do, whatever public policy perspective we try to bring in, we need to be alert, or we need to at least emphasize that these two things to be understood. So public policy has to be a resilient public policy. How much wisely I am prepared to do a kind of public policy, including public finance. If I am spending it properly as per rules and regulations, or if I am spending it the way it should be spent, keeping in mind another 100 years, keeping in mind the challenges of the nature, challenges of climate, that is what I need to think of. So the young people like you try to see these interconnections, see the gelling in of the dynamics, underlying these two profound themes. I think it's not, these two themes have not been mindlessly being, juxtaposed. I think they have been very deliberately and very consciously being put together to see that we are doing public finance, doing public policy, doing state finance in a very critical age of uncertainties, of extraordinary challenges, of unprecedented uncertainties of 21st century. It's no more 20th century. As we deal with the challenges of AI, climate, uncertainties, deepening climate crisis, question of Anthropocene, question of division, the collapsing of the divide between humanity and nature, we need to establish these issues or these two themes in a very different perspective. And I think one of the most fascinating takeaway from this colloquium could be when we tend to see that how our public finance, state finance can be resiliently utilized to guard for an uncertain future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable insights with us. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to the discussion on the first theme of today's colloquium, that is on the state of finances of Odisha. For the session 1, may I now request Shri Subbu R and Dr. Amrendra Das to kindly remain on the dais. I also humbly request all the dignitaries on the dais, other than Shri Subbu and Amrendra sir, to join us in the audience. To initiate the deliberations under this theme, it is my privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker, Shri Subbu R, Principal Accountant General, Odisha. Subbu R, sir, is an Indian Audit and Accounts Service Officer of 2001 batch. He is currently posted as the Principal Accountant General, Odisha, Bhubaneswar. Prior to his current posting, he served as the Director General in the Office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, New Delhi. He has also served in various capacities in the foreign assignments vis-a-vis IOM compliance audit at Egypt, Yemen, and other countries, to name a few. We look forward to his insights on the fiscal landscape and financial management of the state. Sir, it's all up to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I think the VC has left, so it'll take 2 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'll just walk through the state of Odisha's finances for the financial year 2024-25, drawing entirely from the Comptroller and Auditor General's report of State Finance Audit Report, number 3 of 26. Before going to the presentation, I like to get a response from the audience. How many have heard about the CAG report? Can you just raise a hand and say, I heard about CAG report? How many among you? Only one. One. Yeah. Don't feel shy. You can just raise a hand. Whoever has heard about CAG report. So how many have seen the report then? Anybody has seen the report? Again, 2, 3. But for your information, you must be thinking what exactly this looks like. But I can show one. This is a report looking like. This looks like this. Just next time you realize how, I just have a frame of mind. It may be a brownish thing, maybe a different color as well. But this is the type of report which you have it. So I'm going to concisely give this a presentation of whatever is inside before you. Just to, and this is dealing with the finance of the state, and just to make you aware what exactly it contains, because if I ask somebody how many have read it, so answer will be 0, because the 3 people saw it, heard about it, 4 people, again 2 people saw it, and if I ask for how many have read it, maybe 0. So I don't want to take that challenge. So I'll go to the report itself. This story of Odisha is one of the apparent fiscal comfort with underlying stress. The state continues to run a revenue surplus. Its fiscal deficit and debt are comfortably within FRBM limits. Yet, revenue buoyancy has collapsed. Subsidies have more than doubled in a single year, and debt is once again rising faster than economy. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'll take you through the fiscal position, receipts and expenditure, debt sustainability, budgetary and reporting practices, and finally the reform priorities that flow from the audit findings. Let me quickly outline the structure of this presentation. First, I'll set the economic context, how Odisha's economy has grown and what that means for the fiscal base. Second, the fiscal position for 24-25, receipts, expenditure and the key balances. Third, debt sustainability, the size and maturity of liabilities, and the risk hidden beneath a comfortable debt to GSDP ratio. Fourth, the quality of budgetary management and financial reporting, where audit found persistent weaknesses such as large savings, pending utilization certificates, and undischarged liabilities. And finally, the way forward, revenue, expenditure, and liability reforms recommended in the audit report. Before the finances, the economy, Odisha's gross state domestic product at current prices grew from about 5.4 lakh crores rupees in 2021 to 8.9 lakh crore rupees in 24-25, a compound annual growth rate of 13.30%. And the year 24-25 itself recorded a moderate growth of 11.4%. The sectoral composition is fairly unbalanced. The tertiary sector contributes about 34%, with primary and secondary sectors at 28 and 27% respectively. Within these, agriculture dominates the primary sector at 69%, and manufacturing leads the secondary sector at 59%. However, there is one caution flag. Growth is not translating proportionately into individual incomes. Odisha's per capita GSDP is 1,90,439 rupees against a national per capita GDP of 2,34,859 rupees. And this gap was widened from about 27,894 rupees in 2021 to 44,420 rupees in 24-25. So the fiscal question of the rest of this presentation is in the state converting this strong aggregate growth into revenue and in development spending. The answer as well will be a mixed one. The 10-year trend, receipt grew at a healthy 11.52%. But flattened at the end, you can see it. In 24-25, despite 11.4% GDP growth and record evolution, the revenue receipt grew just 2.43%, and the state's own revenue a meager 0.28%. Buoyancy tells the story 0.21 overall and just 0.02 from own revenue. For everyone, percentage of growth, own revenue growth 0.02%. The earlier CAG reports points to why under-evaluation of our ore grades, misreported mineral production, and outdated stamp duty valuation guidelines. The revenue engine is not keeping pace with the economy. Both legs of our own revenue underperformed. Own tax revenue was for 56,516 crores, up 3.8%, but 4.2% shortage of budget. SGST alone is 44% of it. The tax to GSDP ratio has stayed below 7% for 5 years. Stamp duty and land revenue have stagnated for a decade. And non-tax tax revenue, Odisha's distinctive strength, fell 3.38% to 51,221 crores. Mining royalties and concession fees. This is the person. The bright spot is a dividend of 4,523 crores led by Odisha Mining Corporation. And out of the entire dividend, you can see dividend of 4,233 alone by Odisha Mining Corporation. The structural risk remains a budget exposed to community cycles. Union tax devolution rose strongly to 58,270 crores, that is 6.55% of the GSDP. And grants in aid moved the other way, 17,9 956 crores, only 53% of the budgeted amount. The single biggest reason received missed the budget. One complaint positive. The 15th Finance Commission grants for local bodies. Health and disaster funds were released 100% by the state. And coming to expenditure, about the welfare and the heavy Englishly Richard, what we say is that the total expenditure was 2.10 lakh crores, and the revenue expenditure dominates at 77%, though capital share has improved from 16 to 22% over 5 years. The social services now take 44% of the total spending. The committed expenditure, like the salaries, almost at 31,659 crores, pensions at 21,849, and interest component of 5,281 crores, which is totaling to about 58,789 crores, about 32% of the receipts. The ratio has actually improved from 43 to the 36% of revenue expenditure. But add subsidies, the rigid spending reaches 67,923 crore, which is 37% of the receipts, leaving only 63% as genuine fiscal space. The most striking single finding, subsidies rose 121.5% in the 1 year to 9134 crores. That's 1,066 crores above even the original budget. The driver was one new scheme, Samruddh Krishak Yojana, which took 5,849 crores of input assistance to paddy farmers, and there was visible trade-off. As the subsidy share of expenditure doubled, capital expenditure share slipped. The report asks is rationalization and targeting. So welfare pushes do not permanently crowd out asset creation. And the capital and the investments, the capital expenditure of 45,481 crore is 5.11% of the GSDP, more than double the general category states average. Roads and bridges alone took 16,203 crores. But three qualifications, only 73% of the capital budget was spent despite surplus and borrowing being available. 721 crores of revenue nature spending was booked as capital, and 587 crores was parked in ITDA. ITDA, personal ledger accounts. And in March, inflating the reported figure. And on investments, 27 profit-making PSUs, SPSUs have not remitted 5,147 crores of dividend due under the state's own 30% policy, a recovery larger than this year's in their own state increase. Coming to the FRBM complaints, against the fiscal rules, the report card is clean. Revenue surplus every year since the FRBM Act of 2005. The fiscal deficit at 2.81 against the 3% ceiling. Debt at 15.48 against a target of 25. And interest at just 2.87% of receipts against a 15% cap. General category states average nearly 14. No WMA or the overdraft are used in any of these 5 years. The pressure point sits beneath. So the primary balance has been in deficit since 22-23 and widened to 2.22% of the GSDP. And coming to the debt and low ratio or rising stock and the bunch maturities, the debt at 15.48% of GSDP looks comfortable. But the report is explicit that the ratio was rescued by nominal growth, not debt control. The stocks fell to 1 lakh 1,700 crores by 22-23, then surged 36,000 crores in 2 years to 1,37,784 crores. And the state returned to market borrowing after 3 years, raising 17,780 crores. The maturity chart is the risk. 76,642 crores, that is 56% of the borrowing, falls due within 7 years. And 87.7% of the gross borrowing already goes into repaying old debt. To the state's credit, no borrowing funded revenue expenditure, and guarantees are down to just 2,078 crores. And the budgetary management shows regarding the discipline gaps and savings, UCs and deferred dues. The budgetary management shows chronic overestimation, 56,157 crores, that's 1/5 of the budget went unspent. And 96% of the percent of surrenders came on the 31st of March, that is too late to reallocate. March alone absorbed 19% of the year's spending. On reporting, the pending utilization certificate rose 34% to 16,585 crores. 11,418 crores sits parked on personal deposit accounts. About 2,500 crores lies unreturned in SNA accounts of onboarded schemes. 912 crores of statutory dues like the NPS, interest, cess, contingency fund, which all remain undischarged. The genuine positive thing which you can say is that audit confirmed nil off-budget borrowing. That is, Odisha's debt is fully on budget and transparent. If you compare with the Odisha with the other general states, the practices worth emulating. The perspective against the general category states, Odisha outperforms on every indicator, double the capital spending, 1/5 of interest burden, half the debt ratio, and a revenue surplus where peers run deficits. The report also records 3 good practices: a physical risk analysis framework built with the IMF, the pioneering budget stabilization fund of 19,574 crores against mining volatility, and the just-in-time funding system in IFMS to stop fund parking. Regarding the way forward, we'll split into 3 revenue, expenditure, the liabilities. The 3 reforms tracks from the report, and these are like revenue. The way forward can be about that to enforce the SPSC dividend policy. The 5,147 crore is outstanding. Recover the 14,753 crore arrears backlog and clear 53,797 pending with the GST assessments, and plug the mineral and stamp duty leakages. Earlier audits identified all this. None of this needs new taxes. It needs administration. And the expenditure, maybe the target subsidies, so they stop crowding out capital, actually spend the capital and end misclassification. And the March rush through must be changed and to have a realistic budgeting. And the liabilities are aligned the debt growth with GSDP, and the plan, the 76,642 crores of redemptions ahead. These are the 912 crores of statutory dues on a strict timeline, and operationalize the IFMS modules. And the transparency part that the report reminds us is itself a fiscal asset. In summary, I like to conclude with 5 takeaways. Like the stable today, vulnerable to complacency. The fiscal position is stable and FRBM compliant. Odisha outperforms its peers on every indicator, but the revenue engine has stalled. The buoyancy of 0.21 against 11.4 percentage growth, which has to be reviewed. The rigidity is creeping in, with subsidies doubling and the rigid spending at 37% of the receipts. That comfort is growth borrowed, not earned. The stock is up to 36,000 crore in 2 years, with heavy near-term maturities, and the plumbing matters. The UCs, like the utilization certificates, parked funds, and the deferred dues are quite erosions of accountability the state can fix administratively. The task is to protect the fiscal space most states would envy, not consume it. With this, I'll ask my colleague Amarendra Das to take it forward.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very informative presentation. We now move on to our next speaker, Dr. Amarendra Das. Dr. Das is an associate professor in economics at the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, National Institute of Science Education and Research, Bhubaneswar. May I now request you to address?
Good afternoon, everyone. In fact, everyone is scared of audit people, right? When I was in university also, in Utkal University I was there earlier, and now also at Cag-Icssr, we are all scared of audit people because they will ask a lot of questions, difficult questions, and it will be difficult to answer that. But we should understand why they do it. So thank you so much. Again, good afternoon, everyone. No, this is in fact a novel initiative because everyone is scared of audit people, and now Icssr is trying to bridge the gap between audit people and the researchers. So, okay, my previous speaker, Sri Subbu R, Principal Accountant General, has already given us the summary picture of the present situation of Odisha's fiscal situation. So I am going to tell you a longer story. Because I wanted to do a little bit of advertisement of this book, because I will be speaking basically from one of the chapters of this book, which you have done from Odisha Economic Association, this trajectories of development of Odisha at 100. So in this book, we have a chapter on fiscal trajectories of Odisha from subsistence to surplus. And yeah, so this is the chapter I will be basically referring to. And why I am specifically emphasizing upon this chapter is that, okay, this book that I was referring to has come out giving a view of Odisha's centenary year that we will be celebrating very soon. Very soon means after 10 years. And so in that context, I wanted to understand the public finance of Odisha from 1936 to date. Okay, and I read I think almost all budget speeches, because these reports were not available then, I think. And so I read most of the budget speeches, I should say. And so I found that we can divide the public finance situation of Odisha from 1936 to present into 4 phases like this. In the initial phase of public finance, we would say that the fiscal policy was for unification of the state from 1936 to 1950. Then the second phase, fiscal policy for a welfare state. And why I am emphasizing upon this concept, welfare state. In fact, when India got independence, we adopted the constitution, and in the constitution, we adopted this idea of welfare nation. It's not a simply democratic republic nation, rather it's a welfare nation. And for the welfare of the people, government will do everything. And this is reflected in the budget speeches. If you get a chance to read the budget speeches, Harikrishna Mahatab, after independence, the first Prime Minister, I think it was Harikrishna Mahatab. That time it was not Chief Minister, I think, it was Chief Harikrishna Mahatab. Then the second was Biju Patnaik, and third Navakrishna Chaudhary. In all these 3 chief ministers completed full term, and after that we got presidential rule for long time until we got J.B. Patnaik, and then after that we have got all full-time chief ministers, almost actually in between, although there was crisis in Congress. And Harikrishna Mahatab, Biju Patnaik and Navakrishna Chaudhary in early 50s and 60s used to tell this in the state legislative assembly, that it is the need of the state or need of the people that should determine the size of the budget. Now we have brought FRBM. Okay, so the approach has changed. So we should understand the approach of the public finance in a state as well as at national level. So earlier it was not actually that it is the means that should determine the need of the people. Rather it was the need of the people that should determine the expenditure or the budget of the state. This was told by Harikrishna Mahatab. This was repeated by Biju Patnaik, and this was also repeated by Navakrishna Chaudhary. And then that period continued, and so we entered into too much of spending in the subsequent year, period from 1980 to 2004. There was too much of spending, overspending, and so this overspending basically led to the enactment of FRBM, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, and that basically forced everyone, starting from national level to the state level, to become disciplined. That's why you see, my previous speaker has already shown that Odisha has become extremely disciplined, and extremely discipline is very bad. Okay, so very obedient students are not good. Okay, so you should not be very, very obedient. Little bit of naughtiness is good. Little bit of deviation of rule, breaking rules is also sometimes good. But Odisha has become extremely actually obedient, and that actually I will tell what are the problems. So tell you okay. So economists actually have no option but to love numbers, right? And so the budget in 1936 was only 1.77 crore, okay? And now we have reached 3,10,000 crore. So that's a significant rise. And in 1951, it was 25 crore only 1951. So that's how actually our budget has grown exponentially. It's a very long trend actually you see. And I wanted to see actually the growth rate of total revenue, total expenditure, and GDP. So GDP numbers are not available before 1950, so I don't have any growth number to compare. But then you can see that okay, the green color shows growth of total expenditure, and blue color growth of total revenue, and the orange color is the nominal average decadal GSTP growth rate. Economic students must be thinking, why nominal? Because we all the time talk about real growth, but whenever in public finance we talk about the revenue collection, we relate it to the nominal growth. And so what we would witness is that the revenue growth and expenditure growth are not actually same in all periods, and you can see that there is a business cycle type of trend. Initially we saw the growth rate were less, and then it went up to 1970. Both revenue and expenditure increased, and then there was a fall, and then there was rise and fall. So it's like business cycle, you can see overall trend. And in the recent years, when you compare this with the GDP growth rate, you should remember this. So why I'm comparing these numbers with the fiscal numbers, that when the GDP grows faster, ideally we should collect more revenue. Okay, that's what my previous speaker was talking about buoyancy. So, and he has already pointed out that now in the recent years buoyancy is less, and this is also reflected that you can see in the last three columns to 2020s. What I pointed out is that GDP growth numbers are higher, and our total revenue receipts are growing slower than the GSTP growth, and our expenditures are also growing slower than that. That means we have become actually very, very prudent. We are not spending too much, and our revenue is growing much faster, but then slower than what ideally it should be. And then coming to the quality of expenditure, usually we say that we should spend money for developmental expenditure. And what do you mean by developmental expenditure? It includes the economic expenditure and social expenditure. So basically, we spend money for health, education, and building infrastructure like irrigation, agriculture, and so on. So ideally, a lot of money should be spent on developmental expenditure. And so you can see that the top line basically shows share of developmental expenditure in total revenue expenditure. That was 69%. So here I have not included the capital expenditure because I was trying to get a little longer perspective. And so here you see that initially the developmental expenditures were higher, and then towards end of 1990s and early 2000, there was a drastic reduction in the developmental expenditure. Share of developmental expenditure declined because we basically spend more on the consumption expenditure. And in public finance, when you say consumption expenditure, all the revenue expenditures are called consumption expenditure. So that's how the developmental expenditure declined, and obviously the opposite will be non-developmental expenditures increased. And most importantly, you can see that the interest burden increased because government actually, I was telling that from 1980s to 2004, that is a period of profligacy. That means government spent actually more than what actually it earned. And in fact, it's not that FRBM story comes in the early 2000s, but much before that, in 1991, in the parliament also, that time it is National Development Council raised concern that actually we should do something to check the deficits among all the states. And in fact, the committee, one committee was appointed, and that committee was headed by our Biju Patnaik. So, and this committee recommended a lot of reforms, and after that we saw the disinvestment process started, and voluntary retirement scheme, compulsory retirement schemes, all these things started actually in mid-90s, but that was not sufficient actually to control the deficit of the states. And so all the states were in huge, they are all indebted. And in Odisha, the deficits actually used to be higher, and in Odia newspapers we used to read that Odisha Runa Jantari. I'm just telling. So that means Odisha is highly indebted, and we need to control. So the interest burden was very high, share of interest payments, in the total expenditure was very high. And so revenue deficit, why actually, okay, usually revenue deficit we can compare as a percent of GSTP, but here actually since I was trying to get a very long-term picture from 1936 to present, I took it still as a percentage of revenue receipts, and we saw that we were mostly in deficits, and the deficit actually went up substantially in the late 90s and early 2000, but in the recent years there is surplus. Okay, and so this is the trend revenue deficit as and fiscal deficit as percentage of GSTP. Recently we are maintaining revenue surplus and fiscal deficits within 3% of GSTP mostly, but you can see that in late 80s and 90s we had a lot of deficits. And share of committed expenditures, that includes basically salary, pension and interest payment, went up substantially, in fact 140% of the state's own revenue. And Odisha used to borrow, so wage and means advances were to be actually brought from RBI, and almost 360 days of overdraft of state, and but that situation has changed completely. Now committed expenditure has declined drastically, and outstanding liabilities also have gone down. And when I was telling that we are over compliant or we are very sincere, basically Union Finance Commission tells that you can borrow up to, say, at present it is 30%, earlier it is to be 25% of GSTP, but we are borrowing only 13%. So we are very conservative. Maybe we are afraid of the past, okay, and that's why we are not going to borrow. And then actually, so I was trying to see this is a major debate actually one should remember, because particularly students of economics should understand this number. Usually, in fact, I was also going through the CAG report, and in the report also they have pointed out that in the recent years they have increased the borrowing a little more, but then still it is coming within the debt sustainability limit and even much below. See, when people are saying that even the newborn child has a borrowing of or burden of, say, 28,000 rupees, we should also remember that our per capita income also has gone up. Okay? And as per, so this is 2022-23, the per capita income was 1,65,000 rupees. So when you are earning this much, you can definitely borrow 28,000 rupees. So we should not be worried at all actually when media people or political people make an issue that, okay, Odisha is borrowing too much, so we should not be really worried. That's why I was comparing the per capita income and per capita liabilities. And so this is the CAG report, debt sustainability indicators. So we are all within, this is Domar's rule, and we are all within Domar's gap, and we are within the limit. And so when we are comparing, this table also has been already shown by my previous speaker. And yeah, coming to the trends of major receipts, state's own revenue in total receipts. Actually, again, my previous speaker has pointed out that in the recent years, actually, we have become little actually relaxed, and we are not taking efforts to collect more revenue. The reason is very clear, because we are getting almost 50 to 60,000 crore from mining. So you don't have to put much effort, and you get so much of money, and we are already revenue surplus. So the state government is not really taking any effort to increase. But although at national level, my friends are also asking, Amarendra, what is Odisha doing that their GST collection also is very high, much faster than many other states. So, but actually we should not be complacent, since our growth numbers are high and our industry share is also higher compared to the national average. So we should collect more revenue, but no, government has become little relaxed. And so this is actually the point, own revenue and own tax revenue. So own revenue has gone up, and that is because of the non-tax revenue, and own tax revenues have become flat. Okay, so as percent of GSTP, it has become flat. In fact, it has slowed down. In fact, so that's why I'm telling that growth numbers are higher, but then we are not taking enough effort to correct these measures. So I was going through this report that they have pointed out the evasion of taxes, and many cases have remained unresolved. So pending, there are so many pending cases. So if we resolve this, we may get some more revenue. And the major concern in Odisha in the recent years is the actual expenditure. See, government tells very big numbers in the budget, and they also bring a supplementary budget. But when it comes to the actual expenditure, it is much less than actually they show. And it has even come down to 80% of what they show. So for example, this year they have shown that we are going to spend 3,10,000 rupees, 10,000 crore, But then ultimately you'll find that they have spent only some 2,60,000 crore or 2,70,000 crore, not actually 3,10,000 crore. So this is a matter of serious concern. So we should increase the capacity of the state to allocate, to spend more money. And the reason actually is very clear. We know that there are a lot of vacancies in every department. So if you don't have people in the department, how will they spend money? So that's major concern. So we have to increase the capacity of the state to spend more money. And so this is fiscal health index, and Odisha is celebrated as the champion. And okay, so this is from Finance Commission report, 16th Finance Commission report. I was trying to see the performance, whether only Niti Aayog is praising Odisha or somebody else is also praising. In fact, everyone is praising Odisha, starting from Niti Aayog to Finance Commission to RBI, and even in economic survey report, everyone is praising. But we should be conscious. So at the end, actually, I am doing a little bit of SWOT analysis, and so we are doing definitely good. Our revenue is growing better, and we are all very disciplined people. We are not deviating from our FRBM targets, and but then there are weaknesses that recently the own tax mobilization have slowed down, and there is shortfall in revenue receipt versus the budgetary allocation, and the budget estimation and execution gap I have already pointed out. We have to really worry about quality expenditure in the state. Although conventionally in RBI document or in CAG document, we look at developmental expenditure versus non-developmental expenditure classification. I think we have to go a little deeper into the numbers. And why I'm saying this, say for example, we give a lot of pocket money to the people. Okay? I think you all can understand what is pocket money I'm referring to. And it is not confined only in Odisha, it is in all states actually, in different names. So government is preferring to give pocket money, and if I give you a number, in this budget, government has given 10,000 crore for pocket money, and for higher education, only some 4,000 crore. So that's quite paradox. So we have to look at all these numbers, that quality of expenditure has to substantially improve. Okay? So we have kept a target of Samruddh Odisha by say 0.5, half a $1 trillion GSDP by 2036, and $1.5 trillion economy by 2047. And if you want to achieve Samruddh Odisha, we cannot achieve that by giving pocket money to the people. We can achieve that target only by giving quality education and quality healthcare to the people. So we have to really build good infrastructure, and we have to build human capital. And so I think I should conclude. I have already although got the chief earlier. So to summarize, Odisha is doing definitely good. We should accept. In fact, I did not tell the growth story. Odisha is really doing greater. Actually, in fact, we have now moved from a low-income state to a medium-income category state. I'm just classifying all 28, 29 states into 4 groups, and we have moved away from the bottom to medium. And we have all the potential to become a high-income state by 2036. Okay? We have all the potentials. But for that, we have to be really very disciplined in the sense that our quality of expenditure should improve. Okay? And we can't be complacent, and so that's all. With that, I conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to the conclusion of session 1. Now the floor is open for questions from my esteemed members in the audience. Those who have any questions may kindly raise your hands and the mic will reach you. Those who wish to ask any questions or any queries, kindly raise your hand. Kindly briefly introduce yourself and your affiliation before you pose the question.
My name is Cag-Icssr Colloquium. I am from the Department of A&E Economics. So my question is to Amarendra sir. Sir, in one of the slide you have shown that the committed expenditure has been gone down, and it has been significantly gone down. So what could be the possible reason for the downward terms of the committed expenditure? And we can we conclude that also that lack of job opportunities, unemployment, such kind of conditions are also responsible for the gone down of committed expenditure? Thank you so much.
See, this is very obvious. I pointed out in one of the slides that okay, from 1991 onwards, when I refer to Biju Patnaik committee report, basically appointed by the National Development Council, followed by the 11th Finance Commission's recommendation leading to FRBM Act. After that, we stopped recruiting people, okay, in the state, or basically we freeze the recruitment in all departments, and most importantly, health and education, because health and education basically appoints maximum people in the state. And whoever was appointed at a very, very low salary, 1,500 rupees salary. Okay, I remember in 2004, a primary teacher salary used to be 1,500 rupees only. And now they have increased a little bit, but still, it is not actually up to the mark. And casualization within government departments have increased. Okay? So we are not actually interested anymore to appoint anybody permanent. See, in fact, at Niger also I tell this very openly, that we want our job to be permanent, but we want all others should be contractual. Look at all universities or anywhere, even in the secretariat or in government departments, the housekeeping staff, the security guards, everyone is on contractual. Even the supporting staff is in the office. The peon, or say, that's what I'm just telling you, the supporting staff, they're all on contractual. Okay? And we don't appoint them. So they are given a very, very low salary. And but again, there is a catch. See, if you look at primary education, see, it's not simply actually that we are blaming, but I have discussed this issue very seriously with top finance officers of the state, and they tell that we have now opened up actually, and we have asked all the departments to start recruitment. So what stops actually the recruitment? So there comes the litigations. Okay? There are many cases in the court, and so the recruitments actually do not proceed. You see that now in all universities, 1,300 post vacancies, advertisements have come, and I am really looking forward to all these appointments happening in all the universities. But again, I am emphasizing upon the primary education. Why? Now, if you look at the government data, there are about some 70,000 posts, or some 60,000 to 70,000 posts are lying vacant within the primary education itself. Now, should we appoint or not? Now, anyone will say that, there are sanctioned positions, so I don't appoint. But why I'm saying this is a technical issue? See, if you look at the pupil-teacher ratio within the state has complied. In fact, we have sufficient teachers for our students. Why I'm saying this? Odisha's demography has changed completely. Okay? And if you look at the gross enrollment in entire country and in Odisha also, the gross enrollment in the primary schools have started falling. It has happened in national level also. So when you have fewer students and the sanction positions were earlier determined, say long ago, and government is saying that look at pupil-teacher ratio, should we appoint any more teachers at all? I think that could be the reason why government is not appointing, right? So in such a situation, we have to rethink how to manage our existing people in the most efficient manner. Okay? And although I have given solutions elsewhere, actually, so I'm not going to really detail all these things. But then there are other revenue-raising departments such as mining. In those departments also there are a lot of vacancies. So I think some appointments should definitely happen. So we can actually think seriously where actually we can do rationalization, but definitely not for higher education. See, in higher education, the pupil-teacher ratio rule doesn't apply, because these are supposed to actually do innovation, right, and R&D. So if you want to Samruddha Odisha, R&D has to, that's why I emphasized upon pocket expenditure 10,000 crore versus 4,000 crore for higher education. So that's why we have to actually definitely allocate more money, and so that is basically the reason. So one is salary expenditure has gone down drastically, and since we are not borrowing anymore, or we have borrowing less, our interest burdens have gone down, and pension, all new government employees do not get pension, they have NPS, contributory pension scheme. So all these three things have fallen drastically. Okay, that's why it has actually gone down.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Anirudh Mahapatra from G. Autonomous College, ETC department. Sir, with respect to the vacancies as well as the higher education you said, sir, right now I am doing a master's. So, as there are a lot of vacancies, but as you said, like a lot of people are now in contractual positions or contractual positions. Sir, how can we say that if we are studying in this state, then nowadays there are a lot of people saying that people are studying in Odisha, studying in their home state, but after that they are migrating out. They are going out, doing their jobs in other countries, other states. So, sir, what is your point of view on this? That if a person who study in Odisha, sit in the competition, fight with people, and we see we have a lot of vacancies, still we are not getting our jobs. So, how, as a student, as from this generation, we can believe that yes, we will study here and have our career here? So, why not we go out? So, this is a very important question. I hope you answer it.
Okay, see, in this government has come up with the mandate to appoint a lot of people. Okay, and so I only can look forward to the promises to be fulfilled. Okay, and but definitely not that all the vacancies can be fulfilled because of this demographic transition that I pointed out, right? So we have to also think how to use the resources in the most effective manner, particularly primary school particular. I'm not talking about the colleges. In fact, we need more colleges and universities in the state. Okay? And coming to the opportunity, if you go out, I don't know actually whether you get a quality job. Recently, we read in newspaper that our people went somewhere else and they all came as dead body. So,
Yes, sir.
so I don't actually know one. So ultimately, no. Of course, the good news actually also I should tell you that in the recent years, Odisha is getting a lot of private investments. Okay, and in fact, I also know actually within the state that a lot of new proposals are coming up. Okay, and a lot of environmental clearance proposals are coming. So we have to also change the approach. So the change of approach should be to become entrepreneurs instead of simply looking for government jobs or seeking job in the private sector. We have to actually start thinking about becoming entrepreneurs. Okay? And although I am not getting details into the entrepreneurship, because I always argue that if the size of the middle class increases, the probability of entrepreneurship will also rise, which is happening in the state. So that way, government also is doing a lot of skill development programs, and led by Subrat Bagchi, we are now trying to really say revive our ITIs, polytechnics. So if those people become skilled, then actually we may get more jobs. And see, AI is coming. AI may take your computer engineer's job, but not of the plumbers and fitters, right? So we have to think about more of such actual skill development so that our people will can actually become employment generators, and also such skills will be used anywhere else. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We shall be taking only one last question from you, and then we'll have to move on to the second session. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself Pralipta Panda. I am from BJP Autonomous College and currently pursuing BCom. Okay. So in both the slides, both from Subuar sir and Amrendra sir, I noticed two things. One is the subsidiaries went up, unusually up, and Amrendra sir even informed that regarding the expenditure, there is 10,000 crore for the pocket money and 4,000 crore for higher education or the educations and all. So my question is, are we considering subsidiaries as the pocket money? And if so, then you also mentioned that we should improve the quality of expenditure, right? And we can do that by improving the quality of education we provide. So in that basis, what will you say?
Yeah. Can you repeat the question again? You want to know about the subsidy related things?
Yeah, I saw in the first, when you represented the slide, I saw there was a significant increase in the subsidiaries, right?
Subsidies.
Subsidies, yeah, sorry, sir, I'm really sorry. In the subsidies, there was a significant increase. So my question was, and even sir mentioned that it was a 10,000 crore expenditure in pocket money and 4,000 crore in higher education. So are we considering the subsidies as the pocket money that the government is putting in?
See, I didn't use the word pocket money, sir has used it, but anyways, I'll presume that as, yeah. See, the both slides, there's a slight difference. If you see the timeline taken, I was totally discussing on the latest year report, 24-25. So what sir has taken is up to 23, 22-23. So there's, naturally there's a difference. One is that. Second is about the subsidy. There are a lot of popular schemes. Popular schemes are coming up. So naturally that entails somehow subsidy factor, so that it reaches the public and the public burden is reduced. So if you call that as the pocket money, it's indirectly, yeah, it's beneficial for the public as such. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Is it what you want? Is anything else, anything more? You got the answer, yeah.
Thank you everyone for making this session truly interactive. Due to paucity of time, we won't be able to take any more questions from the esteemed participants. We now move on to the second session, discussion on the second session, which is going to be on stormwater drainage and sewerage management systems in municipal corporations. To lead us into this important discussion, we are privileged to have with us Shri Atul Prakash, Accountant General Audit to Odisha. May I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais. We also have with us Professor Mitali Chinara, Professor retired from the Department of Analytical and Applied Economics, Utkal University. Shri Atul Prakash and Professor Chinara would be leading this session. I would take this opportunity to briefly introduce you to Shri Atul Prakash. Sir is an Indian Audit and Accounts Service Officer of the 2006 batch and has been serving as an Accountant General Odisha since 2025. Prior to this, he served as an Accountant General in West Bengal. May I now request you, sir, to address the gathering.
You can keep watching this video in time, and now it is working well. Good evening to everybody. You can see we have used the various technologies when we are doing the audit. So area survey is being used. Now we can use a lot of technology. What you are seeing a canal or nala which is now defunct. So with this short understanding, I'll come back to my topic, which is storm water, drainage and sewage management. But before that, what is important theme here? The most important theme is water. One is water availability and the other part is water quality. If you read any UN report, any Indian report, you will be very alarmed that we are on the ticking bomb, reaching to nowhere within no time. So I want all your ears with me. Though I know that you want to go, but then I want your ear because this is not a topic which I can leave or we should leave. You have seen the corona. What happened in corona? People were fighting for oxygen. Whether you want our people to fight for water, we are very near to that. It is happening. So we have to conserve water, we have to plan water, we have to save every drop of water. So with that context, CAG has taken audit of a smaller part. So why it is also important for you? Please do understand. I got into civil services. I used to read CAG reports. So this is a hint to you also. You are getting a process material of multiple people, multiple experts. It is small book. So your knowledge base is increasing. Other part, whatever you are discussing at the highest level. That highest level is being discussed either in the legislature or in the parliament. So with less effort, you are getting lot of knowledge. So this is why is very important that you please read the CAG reports. Now today AIs are also there. You ask Gemini, you say that from CAG report tell me these things on this topic. So this is one flavor on this water, but we are doing lot on public works, we do on the irrigation, we do on education, everywhere. So you can dive down any types of report. Every year we almost prepare 120 plus reports and we place it. So that is the amount of knowledge is there on our CAG websites. Coming to a basic simple observations which were there in our CAG report. Now there were no master plans for stormwater drainage in the 5 municipal corporations. There is no long-term planning. Whether you want to live as a subsidy city or you want to live in a high class city, everybody dreams that my city should be best. Not only culturally, facility wise also. Now if we don't plan our cities like that, what will happen? What you are seeing there? We have to plan each item. So master plan is very important item which we found that they were not there. Then second issue, encroachment of drains and nalas due to unplanned urbanization. Now some are fact. Population is rising rapidly. Though now we are less than 2, doesn't mean that it will become negative. It still rise after some time and it will start falling down. Future also, almost 70% of population will live in the Indian cities. See the imagination, what is happening. People from rural areas, they are coming for better education, health facilities, they are coming here. So what will happen? They are forced to take some houses, to make some on rent or whatever. So that urbanization has to be properly planned. Else what happens? Same thing happen which you are seeing in other parts of India or a country. Bangalore is almost dry city. Whether we want Bhubaneswar or Eastern India to be dry city, we are very lucky that in Orissa we have some surplus water is there. But mind you, water quality, I said to you, water quality is very important. If you are using washing machine too much, you are getting micro threats. If you are using plastics, you are getting microplastics. What you are eating, what you are drinking. So we have come across with this. We have done a lot of intense engagement with the experts. Now we selected 5 corporations, okay, and then what we find that agricultural land was fed with the contaminated water. So you are getting those vegetables with trace metals and metals which is unfit for human consumption. This kind of water you want, this kind of vegetable you want. So that is a priority that what we are selecting. Then we have also collected the information of the other institutions and we found that health hazards across districts are very large. That 42 lakh plus diarrhea cases are there. So if we remove these health hazards, this is saving for our economy. We talk about health as fitness, we do yoga, International Day yoga, and not what about that. So if people are healthy, that cost will come down. It will boom the state finances. And very important aspect, the groundwater recharge. We are using the water stored by the decades and 100 years now. So as you go down in many other parts of India, those 1000 years stored waters are being used, that is ionized. It means it is radioactive. So these are the challenges which we are seeing in the audit in the local only 5 municipal corporations. So we covered the efficiency economy of the stormwater drainage planning. We engaged with the public and other expert organizations. Environmental impacts were also studied, and on monitoring control how the government is maintaining. Now I very strongly believe that government is only not an actor. We citizen, we students, we teacher, everybody is equal actor in every force. We cannot roll shy away from our duties. So we have to understand what is the impact. If I am leaving water draining from my house, that is also some crime we are doing. So we have to understand, monitoring at the highest level or monitoring at the citizen level should happen. So social audit is also very important. Now see the numbers. Numbers are very big. If I say in Bhubaneswar, the population wise 5 cities was one of the highest. Water consumption was highest. On drains number, it is number 2 or 5. Cuttack was highest number of drains are there. The water surplus is second after Bhubaneswar. Population is number 2nd. Sambalpur area wise is biggest, and the Rourkela also area wise number 2, and Berhampur is smaller. But then problem is there, which is across cities. Now these are techniques we used. So if you think that we only read the finances, you are wrong. We do various steps of technology. We use Google's Earth satellite imagery analysis. We do aerial surveys. We also, for user benefit, the readability, we have used the QR codes so that you can see the video. So whatever video I have shown you, you can see on the report and just scanning it. Now, coming to the assessments, what assessments were there? So when we did the independent assessment of water bodies, we found the many locations, many STPs, they were failing the minimum norms of their potential limit. Far beyond that. The crops vegetables, I indicated you, had cadmium, lead. So whatever cabbage, whatever things I am eating, those are fed lead with this. The impact of aquatic life, that we use with the help of SIFA, and then we found that the Chilka lake, lot of fishes were dying because of the contaminated water. And we also have used the reports of the health department. Now, due shortage of time, I will not go in detail, but I will make you understand that the long-term planning which we generally ignore is very important. We think that okay, somebody will do. No, that is a planning. If I want my country to be number 1, I cannot be relaxing and seeing the only reel and only the social media. I have to devote dedicated time for that. So that is planning. So master plan is that I devote half an hour for social media reels, but 10 hours for my qualitative job. That should be standard. So here we have talked about there is also need to stakeholder consultation. So there is a National Disaster Management Authority which gives the guidelines. So through that, we can always benchmark. So what regulatory mechanism is missing? Groundwater recharge efforts are not there by the municipal corporations. So we are going to the critical and subcritical level after some time. And of course, due to encroachment drains, rainwater could not flow freely to the nearest water bodies, and many water bodies have become very smaller compared to their original area. Now land use change you are witnessing, you are seeing in the neighborhoods. What is happening? Buildings are there, flats are there, areas have come down. So what is happening? You are basically affecting the nature. Somebody was saying we should make nature in the board meeting, everything. See, it is the opposite. I will say opposite. We are in the nature. We are part of planet. There are 5 P principles are there of the United Nations SDG goal. SDG 6 talks of water, SDG 11 talks about the sustainable cities. So what is there? The planet is there. Planet with full of people, animals, species. Now 3 more P's are there. Peace, prosperity, and one more P is there, that partnership. We cannot do prosperity without partnership. We are fighting. There is no partnership. So these 5 P's are very important. So these are, unless we tune to these principles, we will utterly fail, which our CAG reports also indicate that we are missing. Contamination. There is unauthorized expenditure of 1195 houses over there, waste canal discharging wastewater to the canal. All 11 locations, the water quality was very, very bad. On all count of TC, total ferrochrome, okay, then BOD, dissolved oxygen, on all count it was failing. Only few were in success. Even the Swiss treatment plant we tested, it was also failing in some locations. So what is the use of the Swiss treatment plant, STPs? We have constructed almost 10% of STPs as against the requirement of 500 MLD. Now 10% capacity also we are failing. So that is the intent of this. River Kua Khai, Gangwa Nala. So examples are there. See the figures of the various diseases, diarrhea, typhoid, hepatitis, renal diseases, and it is in the increasing trends. So we have to understand that linkages across sectors are very important. Safety risks, many people have died because of open drains. Sometimes it comes to news, sometimes it doesn't come. But that is safety aspect. Please go through SDG. SDG 11, SDG 6. SDG is very important framework for United Nations, which we, India, also adopted. That by 2030, we will do everything. Only 4 years are left now. With that challenge, I have 2 examples. I am the last over of 2020, 6 balls are left. I need 25 runs. Whether I expect my people, my sportsmen, to leave the bat, ball, and go to the pavilion? What do you expect? Do you want that to happen? Or they will fight till last 6 balls? They should fight for 6 balls. Hockey is there. 3-0. India is their opponent is 3 and we are 0. Whether we expect that those half hour left, we just leave it, okay, we are losing. So challenge is very tough. So we have to understand, don't lose. You have to be proper planning, proper knowledge. So a good knowledge base, it will come from the CAG reports across India. You can see any states. And lot of impact is there. I tell you, when our CAG report was published, High Court took the suo motu action. Lot of amendments were done. The government orders were there. So lot of amendments are there. But then it need to be sustained. We give report for every 5 years or 3 years. But sustenance is to be through the stakeholder. The public is main stakeholder. The parliament is the main stakeholders. These 2 are the big stakeholders. And you, people who are knowledgeable, who are researchers, scholars, if you know what is happening, you can write better. And these are the gaps which I already told, just to collate, you can see that. And thank you for this time. One last point I will say, audit, कबीर दास ने कहा है, निंदक नीरे राखिए, आंगन कुटी छवाए, बिन साबुन पानी बिना निर्मल करे सुभाए. ऑडिट का हमारा भी यही काम है, ठीक है. हम गलती निकालते हैं, इसका मतलब हम गलती निकालने वाले का इंटेंशन क्या है, सुधार क्लियर करने का. थैंक यू.
Thank you so much, sir. I now humbly invite Professor Mitali Chinara, a seasoned economist and a professor, has been a professor in the Department of Analytical and Applied Economics, having more than 35 years of teaching and research experience. I now request you, ma'am, to address the gathering.
Samastanku namaskar. Namaskar to one and all present over here, distinguished audience, people in the audience, Professor Singh, from my esteemed Professor Basa, Atulji on the stage, and I must thank Atulji first because he has made my job easier. So I'll be skipping through some of my slides and stick to those which are like if I have to add value. I must thank at the outset the Office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, ICSSR, and of course my alma mater, my Karma Bhumi, Utkal University. So it gives me an immense pleasure to stand here before, after superannuating from the Department of Analytical and Applied Economics, I stand here as an outsider today, but you can never take away Utkal University from my heart. Utkal University, I belong to Utkal University, Utkal University belongs to me. Thank you so much. So my topic is here, stormwater drainage and sewerage management in Odisha's municipal corporations, urban local bodies. All the context has been set. To say this least, Atulji has just spoken about the SDGs. I will just take a moment to flag off the two SDGs that are concerned with these two aspects which the ICSSR and CAG has taken note of. One is, as he has already said, SDG 6, which is to have, everybody should have access to clean water and sanitation by 2030. That is the deadline that we are chasing. Time is ticking away. The second one is SDG 11, which is to have, sustainable, accessible, inclusive, safe, resilient, and inclusive cities and communities. Before I start my presentation, when we talk about stormwater drainage, stormwater drainage has nothing to do with storms. It is a misnomer. What is stormwater? Stormwater is that part of the precipitation or the rainfall that does not naturally percolate into the ground or evaporate, but flows via overland flows and interflow, and it does not naturally evaporate, or it does not it does not evaporate, or it does not go away. It is like whenever there is a spell of rain, we always see that is waterlogging in urban areas. Urbanization, population is increasing. Urbanization is also proceeding at a very fast pace. And if you look at urbanization pace in Odisha is one of the say lesser urbanized states of Odisha of Indian Union. And 2020, 2011, the last census we had, urbanization in Odisha was less than 20%. All India level, it was around 31%. So, but in spite of that, urban areas are growing. Everyone is, there is attraction, urban attraction because of facilities, different kinds of livelihood, education, all that thing. So, these urban areas have to be made safe. They have to be resilient. They have to rise up to the challenges, and is the urban local bodies, whether it is the NSCs, whether it is the municipal corporation or municipalities, they have the onus of providing these kinds of public service delivery to the people who are staying there. So this is the background and the scope which has been covered by my previous speaker. So I'll be talking about, I'll forego the background, data sources, of course, I'll not be talking about methodology, financial deep dive. I'll spend a moment here. Findings and recommendations have been discussed by Atulji. I'll not be talking about that. I'll be rather talking about how to strengthen the audit from an academician's perspective. Now, why stormwater and sewerage management matters? Odisha has 114 urban local bodies, and average annual rainfall is across the 5 municipalities. Now, just to put a caveat, no, I forgot to put a caveat. I am not a town planner, neither I'm an engineer. I don't have technical knowledge about this, but I will be looking at it from an academician's or a student of economics point of view. So it says that rapid urbanization outpaces drainage and sewerage infra pattern. It is common in all Indian cities. Roughly 80% of all wastewater is discharged untreated into rivers and oceans. Sewage contributes to approximately 80% of pollution load to Indian water bodies. So this is the why it matters, and therefore I say that I think that stormwater drainage and sewerage management is a textbook case of public infrastructure with strong externalities. Externalities are those as student of public economics, which are naturally, which accrue to the people who are exposed to it, or willy-nilly. I mean, you don't have a choice. You don't have an option. If your neighbor has a garden, you get the, you get the fragrance. If your neighbor is burning something, you get the fumes. So that is externality, positive and negative both. So these are SDG commitments. This is an overview of the 5. Now we have 6. Odisha has 6 municipal corporations, including that of Puri, which was discussed very recently. But the audit period does not include that. This is an overview of the 5 municipal corporations. This is about the audit. These are the objectives. Audit period is 17-18 financial year to 2021-22 financial year. So we are talking about planning and designing. We are talking about financial management. The audit also includes the transparency in tendering and award of work and so on and so forth. And also, most important or quite vital is that of monitoring mechanism. Has it been adequate and effective and transparent, and has it made it more efficient? And these are the data sources where the evidence has been collected, covered by my previous speaker. How the audit was, what are the, where from these evidences have been collected. Now these are some of the observations, major observations covered by my previous speaker. I would like to flag off here that 3,000 audit, CAG audit has flagged that 3,045.44 crores avoidable public expenditure flagged by the deficient because of deficient sewage project or because sewage project regarding detailed project reports alone. The number is really mind-boggling. And planning failures are the root cause of that, and which we'll be talking about later. These are these. Then I will talk about where did the money go, which will include the receipts, utilization, own revenue failures, and quantified shortcomings across the audit period. So this shows that the municipal corporations are mostly grant dependent. They are dependent on public grants from the state governments, from the central governments, and from the finance commissions, central financial commission, finance commission, central finance commission, and state finance commissions. It varies from 39% to 56%. Out of that total receipts, the amount which is spent for stormwater drainage varies from a meager 4 to 8%. So this shows that the municipal corporation, the 5 municipal corporations, are mostly dependent on grants. Now this is the sewerage boards overborrowed. The blue line shows the total funds available and the actual expenditures, which is shown by the yellow line. And out of the total funds, actually utilized funds by the sewerage boards was between 56% to 6%. So the gap shows the funds which remains unutilized. Why funds remain unutilized? That we have already spoken about it. Dr. Amarendra Das has spoken why funds remain unutilized because of various reasons. And the Odisha, the OWSSB, the Odisha Water Sanitation and Sewerage Board, and WATCO, that is Water Corporation, they have taken loans in spite of the unutilized funds. They have taken loans from the JICA, that is the Japanese organization, and Odisha Infrastructure Development Fund for immediate requirements. So this gap between the blue and the yellow line shows the amount of unutilized funds. Now, these are the quantifiable irregularities in contract and payment practices. Loss of interest, 91 points. So this is all, I'll not go deeper into this, is all for you to see. Unrealized advances. Now, why these advances could not be unrealized, that is, once again, that will take a lot of time to discuss. I don't have that much of time. Total, all of these are the quantifiable, or quantified rather, irregularities in contract and payment practices. There are also a lot of excess payments made, as has been pointed out by the audit. And all of it accounts to a whopping 130 crores. Recurring pattern of contract clause, drafting failures, and adequate financial supervision. These are regular happenings. These are not one-off errors happening once, for once and for all, but these are regular practices. Now, own revenue generation has effectively failed, as has been pointed out by audit. 336.48 crores has been spent on drains, yet neither government nor the municipal corporation fixed any stormwater drainage cess rate to recover the cost. There is a provision that the area where we are constructing or building a stormwater drainage facility, we can impose a cess to collect the cost, but it has not been done. 12.63 crore of sewage user fee left uncollected. There is another important thing, which is a discrepant reporting. WATCOs, that is Water Corporation's accounts, annual accounts, showed less fee collection than what was actually reported to the audit. It is a data integrity red flag, not just a mere collection gap. Now, accountability gaps cost real money. So this is also, utilization certificates have not been submitted to the the funding agencies. The 14 commission grants have been basic as well as performance. Sometimes it is a basic grant which everyone gets, and another is performance related grants, which is given after some clause has been satisfied, and a loss of grant has been to the extent of 338.58 crores, and the board, the Odisha Water Supply and Sanitation Board, has not appointed an auditor or prepared annual accounts, and transactions of the board cannot be independently verified. Now, contract management and project execution slippage. So this pie diagram, I'll refer to this pie diagram. Pie diagram shows that collected sewage generated and the gap between the sewage generated and sewage collected. 558.464 million liters per day of sewage is generated across the 5 municipal corporations. Only less than 10% of it is collected, and you know what is happening to the rest. And what is the cost of that? This has been already flagged off by my previous speaker. And monitoring mechanism, which has existed only on paper, this is supposed to be there, activated and actively pursued, which has not happened. High-level steering and state-level committees, which was meant to oversee, they have not met. No independent audit of the STP water quality, despite the provisions let down, and environmental compensation not levied, inadequate manpower, and no penalty resumed in spite of the rules and regulations. These are the policies and recommendations which I'll not go through. What I'm going to discuss now is how to strengthen the future performance of audit. I would put a caveat here that suggestions offered here is in the spirit of academic engagement. This is not to criticize the audit's diligence, but what a research agenda could add. Now, I would say that what can be done is to move from a test check to efficiency benchmarking. We have methodologies which has been developed, we can apply. Instead of just flagging off specific failures or specific shortcomings, we can apply, I would suggest that we can apply either data envelopment analysis or stochastic frontier methods to all 114 urban local bodies, not to the 5 municipal, now 6 municipal corporations, and we can rank them in order of technical efficiency or in order of financial efficiency. And if someone is performing better, one urban local body is performing better, what we can do is that we can examine that, and this can be, adopted. This can be taken as a best practice. Now convert, we are talking about what has been the health hazard. Now that can be monetized. In the research students, we talk about the DALI, which is the disability adjusted life years. If a person falls sick, what would have been his economic value if he would not have been sick, and what is the loss of value? So that can be calculated, which can be compared with the capital outlay which has been foregone. Money is there, we all have unspent balances, so that is another analysis which can be done by researchers or by the CAG in order to give us a perspective for future research and for implementation. Now another thing is that we can move from mere a correlation analysis. So as students of economics or social science, we know that a correlation does not mean any causation. Diarrhea cases are rising and there is a lack of stormwater drainage. Are they related, or are they happening both of them together? So we are saying that they are happening together, but if we apply a panel data regression method or difference in difference method, now this can give us a causation analysis, whether there is a causation and what can be done, and to give us, we can separate correlation from causation. Both may be happening together without any cause and effect relationship, maybe all this. So this can give us a more evidence-based and a strong recommendation for moving forward. We can have study grant conditionality. We have grant conditionality. We talk about the basic grants, the performance-based grants, and we talk about SLBs and audited account conditions. Now when you are putting these audited account conditions, the weaker urban local bodies, are we putting them, we have to ask the question, are we putting them at a disadvantage? So can they do it? Are they in a position to do it given the ground realities and the manpower at their disposal? Now cess and user charges should be, we have said that they have not been imposed, so own revenue collection of the municipal corporations has not been satisfactory, or it has not been up to the mark, so it has to be done scientifically. In public finance, we talk about contingent valuation and willingness to pay surveys among households to fix this cess and user fee. And institutionalize, we can, compliance audit follow-up can be institutionalized. And we can also modernize audit's own tools. We can have, so instead of a periodic audit, we can have a continuous audit in a real-time basis. We can have open and machine readable data where the municipal corporations can publish their finance and service level benchmark data in open formats, enabling independent academic and civil society research. So once in 5 years we are getting the report now and we're discussing the report now. It's good that we are discussing, it is really encouraging, but in 26, if you gather what we are, if you what should be our takeaway? So real time we need to have open and machine readable data, and we can have simple triangulated financial ratio analysis like own revenue to expenditure ratio, grant dependency ratio, and capital utilization ratio over time for each of the urban local bodies to catch the deterioration early, and rather than only at the end of next 5-year audit. In conclusion, I would say that audit is right that there has been lapses at several levels, both at planning execution as well as at the level of monitoring. But financial evidence points to a deeper structural issue. No revenue model, no cost recovery, and grant dependency without accountability. Quantifying externalities and applying efficiency benchmarks would let future audits move from naming lapses to measuring their true economic cost. For students of public economics, this report, I would say I have enjoyed going through this report. It's a live case study in fiscal federalism, tied grants, and political economy of user charges. At the end, I would say that these aspects also, we can also add behavioral aspects, why people are behaving in a particular way, why we are all aware of it, but as soon as we get out of these halls of discussion, how do we behave? When we say that public property, treat public property as why there are encroachments, why drains are covered with constructions. Is it the poor people only who are doing it? The answer is a clear-cut no. Everyone is doing it. Why this land? How much land does a person actually need? So this behavioral aspect can be put in, and we have to teach our students, our scholars, from the beginning, that when you say that treat public property as your own, it does not mean that you have to bring in public property within your premises. No. It means that you have to treat public property as you treat your own property. So this behavioral aspect, why all this also needs to be examined, also needs to be researched, and this will go a long way in developing and having cities or urban areas which are livable, which are affordable, which are inclusive, which are also safe, and also for everybody, everyone for us. Thank you very much. Thanks for your patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your very valuable insights and thoughts with us. We now leave the floor open for question and answers. Due to paucity of time, dear participants will be able to take not more than 2 to 3 questions for this session. Thank you. Those who wish to ask questions may kindly raise your hands.
Okay. Anyone needs me before?
I must congratulate both the distinguished speakers. I'm neither an authority on economics nor on audit, but I think both the speakers pointed out the issue very clearly. But I think the implications of this, both the lectures, is far more important because they are discussing something on water. And as an informed reader in social science, I would like to make 2-3 very quick statements. You know, it is said that if at all there will be a third world war, it will be related to water. That is the number one. Number two, there is a joke in Delhi that after 10 years, if somebody is getting uninterrupted supply of electricity and water, he is a high status man. Number three is that this is related to Odisha. I think important is that Odisha has taken a very progressive role as far as energy is concerned. About 25-30 years ago, it was the first state which privatized electricity. Now I think Odisha should take another leadership in relations to water, because as you SDG is there, it is important that Odisha should take initiative in making water policy as a sustainable policy by involving not merely water resource department. You know, our policies of water is very much myopic in the sense that anything related to water, it is water resources department. But there are so many stakeholders, and rightly both the speakers have pointed out that. I think it is time that we, like the way we took initiative in energy sector 30 years ago, I think Odisha has to take enough steps to take water at a multidisciplinary perspective to develop a sustainable water policy involving different stakeholders, which both the speakers have come out in their distinctive presentation. I must congratulate both of you. Thank you.
I teach public administration here, and I was very much fascinated to listen to these deliberations today afternoon. So I think what happened 5 days before, and also happened 5 years before that, someone is lost in the sewer system just adjacent to Utkal University main gate, and the body is still not found as far as my information goes. And being a researcher in renewable energy systems, I feel, and what Mitali ma'am told us, that everything should be measurable. So maybe my question or my aspiration seems out of context, but can we actually measure safety and security issues? Is it measurable? Because Amarendra Bhai is here, and a lot of people are here who are very much competent to quantify something which is highly qualitative. So can we actually measure safety indices within a city system? And in that context, maybe the sewerage management system or the sewerage better management prospects. So if it is an appropriate question, then you can respond to me. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. See, measurement can be of any type. there is the output, there is outcome. Okay, so what happens that measurement can be indicator. Now, indicator is a very robust or weak that we have to test. When the United Nations made the indicators, they made almost 300 to 56 indicators. Some are repeatable. After testing of almost many years, they came down and they changed. So they found that one is actually impacting because of 5. Which are the best? So indicators are very important for analyze. So as an audit also, we use indicator, proxy indicator also. It cannot be directly related because other scientific systems are there. World is very complex. The forest is very complex. We cut one tree and we think of money value. We are wrong. Okay, just for example, if you go to Simlipal in the dry, hot season, you will find that it is very cool and very cold and water gushing out from their roots. So that is the impact. So indicator we have to finalize. So thereby the IUCN, a scientific organization of the United Nations, they also tried and they made a lot of things. So this is a step in process. Measurement should always be there. Without measurement you are haywire. Why economics or whatever? We are finding some trends. What is correlation? Even AI is doing some trending analysis. So one trend wrong, you are gone wrong. So measurement is actually important for audit also, for anybody. And I believe that you can use various sets, whether it is direct or indirect or indicators, that will help you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Swayam Sacheswai from Zoology Department from Rajdhani College. Sir, I do not have any questions. I have a suggestion. So, if you will say that it is right or wrong, sir, we are doing all this seminar and this kind of seminar and webinar, and root cause of all these problems are corruption and illiteracy. I mean, uneducated peoples. Am I correct? Those people, those are literate, I mean educated, they are blinded by the walls of corruption. They are taking away all those monies and not investing in the development of our countries. And those are illiterate peoples. They do not have any option rather to face those challenges.
I will like to answer you. Very good question. Okay. Now, let me understand. In this hall, anybody who believe that they are anti-national? Anybody who raised that he is anti-national in India? No. It means what is hampering that our visions are not matching. My vision is not matching with neighbor weight. Okay, I am fighting for small things. That is the issue. Corruption is very small issue, I think. Issue is that our visions are distorted. I think the person who is doing something, okay, is not matching, so it is wrong. So I have to, this is why this colloquium is very important, that you deep dive into the themes. So where are the issues? Either some research articles are there, some CAG reports are there which have been processed after so many meticulous work. So you are getting ready hand something. So the root cause are many. You think that sometime in the long ago it was said that कि जो पढ़ेगा वो बनेगा अच्छा, जो खेलेगा वो खराब होगा, है ना? ये कंसेप्ट था ना पहले. आज स्पोर्ट्स उड़ीसा में क्या कंसेप्ट है कि जो खेल रहा है वो अच्छा कर रहा है. आज यूनाइटेड नेशंस में भी मतलब स्पोर्ट्स में भी इंडिया काफ़ी आगे बढ़ रहा है. So that concept is that myopic. That leads to various distortions, division, which lead to all these factors. So I think if our shared visions are equal, near equal, not equal, near equal, it will prosper much better. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We thank Professor Basa, Dr. Hemant, and our dear participants for making this session very interactive. We also extend our sincere gratitude to all our speakers, Professor Mitali Chinara and Shri Atul Prakash sir, and all our speakers before for making the session very interactive and for an enriching series of presentations from you all. Now, before we move on to the third session and the final session for the colloquium, we shall now be playing a small video on the Cag-Icssr research article competition for the benefit of our young minds. Thank you.
Comptroller and Auditor General CAG of India, the Supreme Audit Institution of India, has been providing evidence-based audit reports that ensure transparency, accountability and good governance. The Office of CAG of India, in a first of its kind of initiative, prepared a decadal publication of state finances from the financial year 2013-14 to 2022-23. CAG and the ICSSR have entered into a collaboration to organize the Cag-Icssr Colloquium series and the CAG Research Article Competition across 28 states and 3 union territories of Bharat.
Cag-Icssr Research Article Writing Competition encourages young students in colleges and universities to understand the importance of this data in the context of formulating a research problem, on suggesting the critical gaps in fiscal governance and accountability, whether it relates to public finance or it relates to the government spending in the different social sectors. The prize money is quite exciting, and we hope that students from colleges and universities all over the country would participate in the state level and the national level Cag-Icssr Research Article Writing Competition.
The collaboration has 2 parts. Cag-Icssr Colloquium series in 28 states and 3 union territories. Cag-Icssr Research Article Writing Competition across 28 states and 3 union territories. Cag-Icssr Colloquium series was launched on 11 November 2025 with the Delhi chapter and the national chapter on 15 December 2025 at CAG headquarters. This initiative aims to foster rigorous academic inquiry and policy-oriented research among young researchers, providing them a platform to engage with critical issues of fiscal governance, public accountability and socio-economic development in Bharat.
विकसित भारत 2047 का लक्ष्य तभी संभव है जब हमारे युवा शोध, ज्ञान और नवाचार के क्षेत्र में अग्रणी भूमिका निभाएं। Cag-Icssr रिसर्च आर्टिकल राइटिंग कंपटीशन विद्यार्थियों को सार्वजनिक वित्त और शासन से जुड़े विषयों पर अपने विचार प्रस्तुत करने का एक राष्ट्रीय मंच प्रदान करेगा। मैं सभी युवा प्रतिभाओं को इस पहल में भाग लेने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं।
The CAG and ICSSR announced the research article writing competition in the august presence of Honorable Minister of Education Shri Dharmendra Pradhan ji and Deputy CAG Shri K.S. Subramanian. With the inspiration of Shri K. Sanjay Murthy, the CAG of India, the bona fide students enrolled in undergraduate, postgraduate and doctoral programs in 28 states and 3 union territories are eligible to send their entries in the competition. The purpose of this competition is to engage young minds in interpreting complex audit findings, fiscal records and governance data, and also to encourage them to contribute in the vision Vikasat Bharat 2047 by translating technical audit material into accessible, analytical and visually engaging research outputs. The best research article will receive a prize money of rupees 75,000 at the state UT level, and the second and the third best entries will receive prize money of rupees 50,000 and rupees 25,000 each. At the national level, the best research article will be awarded the prize money of rupees 1,25,000 and the value of second prize is rupees 1 lakh, while the third carries a value of rupees 75,000. These prizes will be given to both categories of applicants, that is undergraduate, postgraduate and doctoral. The total prize money for this competition is approximately rupees 1 crore, which is being sponsored by the Office of Comptroller and Auditor General, CAG of India. On the next Audit Divas, 16 November 2026, state awards will be conferred by the respective PAG, AG for each state in their offices, and the national awards will be given at the CAG headquarters, New Delhi. Underscoring the importance of this unique initiative for young scholars, the Honorable CAG of India, Shri K. Sanjay Murthy, stated that the Cag-Icssr Research Article Competition aspires to generate interest in students and research scholars to interpret fiscal and governance data and creatively communicate the information and findings highlighted in various CAG reports for the benefit of citizens. It aims to stimulate an academic and critical interest among students in the fiscal health of the states and the nation, and encourages them to produce evidence-based research papers based on their critical insights from the comprehensive wealth of data created by the CAG. Comptroller and Auditor General, CAG of India, the Supreme Audit Institution of India,
Thank you everyone for your patient hearing. We now move on to the third session. The theme of the third session is Career Prospects and Professional Development in CAG, an announcement of CAG Research Article Competition. In this regard, may I now humbly invite Sri Swami Shubham Vaijanath, Deputy Accountant General, Odisha, to share his insights on career prospects and professional development in the CAG, along with the announcement of the CAG Research Article Competition. Sir, please.
Play the PPT. Good afternoon everyone. I hope the video has given you a brief overview of Cag-Icssr's research article competition. I will now take the next few minutes to highlight the key features of this initiative, including its objective, themes, eligibility, important timelines, and the opportunity it offers to students and young researchers. As highlighted in the video, this initiative is a collaborative effort between the CAG and Icssr. It aims to promote research in public finance governance while enhancing analytical research and data interpretation skills among students and scholars. The competition covers 4 contemporary themes that are highly relevant to public policy and governance. It is open under 2 categories, UG and PG students, doctoral scholars, and will be conducted at both the state and national level. The important registration and submission timelines are shown already on video. The competition is open to all bona fide undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral students, besides offering an opportunity to contribute to research in public governance. It also provides attractive cash rewards at both the state and national level. Interested participants can complete their registration and submit their research articles through the Icssr online portal. The official link displayed here contains the detailed guidelines, themes, and submission process. I encourage all eligible students and research scholars to take advantage of this opportunity, showcase their research ability, and contribute towards strengthening public financial governance through quality research. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. If anyone wishes to know anything more about career prospects in CAG or CAG research article competition, may raise your hands and ask the questions. All right, since we don't have any queries from the members in the audience, we now would move forward towards the conclusion of this session. I would now invite Shri Balakrishna, Deputy Accountant General, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening to everyone. As we approach to conclusion of today's colloquium, I take this opportunity to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor Utkal University for organizing this colloquium at Utkal University, and also I would like to thank Member Secretary ICSR for partnering with us in conducting Odisha chapter of ICSR colloquium. And I also take this opportunity to thank Sri K.P. Anand, Director General Eastern Region, kindly accepting our invitation and joining as a guest. I also thank Sri Subbu R, Principal AG Audit 1, for guiding us in conducting this colloquium. I also thank Sri Atul Prakash, AG Audit 2, for kindly accepting our invitation and to present on stormwater drainage topic. And I also thank all the staff of AG office for making this event happen. And I also thank all the faculty and all the support staff of Utkal University for helping us in arranging all the arrangements and gathering the students for this colloquium. I also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Silly Rao, Deputy Director ICSR, for coordinating this Odisha chapter event. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. I now request everyone to rise for the national anthem. Thank you, everyone. Requesting everyone to join us for the high tea at the main administrative building. Thank you.